All right, you brought some show and tell stuff down here. Recurves.
Yeah,
wow.
You know, some of your biggies that make basically custom bows, Damon Howitt, you know, they still have a line of a little lower end bow, and then they got some very high end bows. Same with bear archery. When you get away from that, you can get into some super customs where you're paying $1,200 or more for
how much?
$1,200. These custom builders are, I mean, they make a beautiful bow.
Yeah.
Will it outperform a $200 bow? Maybe not. I've got 3 different bows there. Just in recurves alone, you have a solid recurve, one-piece recurve, and so there's no takedown to it. A lot of the old traditional guys will only shoot that type of bow. Well, years ago they developed the takedown, which makes it easy for traveling. Mm-hmm. This thing can go in a 2-foot case. You just put it together, which is very simple to do. And now they've got what they call ILF bows, which is international limb fitting. So
I thought it was ELF for little guys.
These bows are similar to a compound in tunability, and which I mean, when I started reading about it, I was amazed. So I had to bring some in and start playing with them.
What is the type of wood that they're using on those? Do you know?
Oh,
I remember the old English bows were
typically your wood course for the limbs are maple.
Really?
Oh yeah,
that's high flexibility
with black fiberglass really wrapped around it. The riser could be bubinga, zebra wood. There's all kind of different woods they use for.
So they're not a real. Well, obviously you don't have the flexibility in like a Purple Heart or an ironwood or any of those woods. They're inflexible.
Well, you don't want your riser to flex. You want your limbs to flex on a
Are there any magnesium risers out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
Those are awful cold on a cold day.
They could be, yes. I shoot both.
Become so oversensitized now you're worried about the comfort of your bow?
No. You sit in a stand all day long with holding a bow that's frozen to the bone at 20 degrees. I used to do that in the Midwest. That's why I gave up those metal compound bows back in the old Bears. I mean, you would hold on to that thing and it would just conduct cold. And at 20 degrees or 20 degrees below zero.
Oh, in the 70s, you wouldn't believe how cold they were. I think it's amazing the amount of bow hunters that are turning back to traditional archery.
What do you think's causing that?
Well, I think a couple things. I think the compounds have got to the point where they're no longer looking like bows anymore. I mean, they're quite a contraption, and I have nothing against anybody that shoots a compound. I still own them myself. But one thing a recurve did do, it gets me shooting on a daily basis. I shoot at least 6 days a week. And
you wouldn't shoot your compound?
No, you don't have to.
Val, does he leave you alone 6 days a week?
Nice.
When you're first starting,
what's your top seller?
On the bows?
Yeah, on the recurves, traditional, if you will.
Probably a beginner bow. We sell a lot of the Samick Sages. And it's a takedown bow. It goes from 20 pounds to 55 pounds. So once you get that bow, a lot of parents buy that for their kids just starting, knowing
they can grow into it.
They can just buy limbs and keep the riser. Basically, it gives you 2 different bows when you buy limbs.
What kind of expense are you looking at?
The Sage I sell for $140, which pretty much everybody does, except I tune the bow before it leaves.
Okay, beginner compound bow?
Oh, there's a lot
300?
of
300, 350?
You can get into a setup starter compound bow for about $350.
Yeah. And then there's all the gadgets to go along with it.
Yeah.
Whisker biscuits,
sights, whisker biscuits, releases.
Cats. Yeah.
Keeping your bow tuned and timed.
Okay, are you shooting composite arrows or aluminum?
I shoot carbon.
Okay. Joe, you're talking about beginner bows. What's the next level up at expert?
Well, that beginner bow, you could take it hunting with you. From there, it's a preference in how much money you want to drop and how pretty you want your bow to be.
Well, let's I know hunters aren't egotistical like bass anglers, let's say. But,
Excuse me?
Yeah. Let's say a guy comes in and look, I'm an expert shot. I want top of the line recurve. What am I looking at? We do that with
like for a Damon Howard or an upper end bear.
That's one of your favorites, correct?
Oh yeah, I think Damon Howard's I think it's
okay.
a custom
I want to
bow
shoot what Joe Notcha likes.
You're looking in the 600 range.
Wow.
Okay. Now that being said, I think once you get to around the $200 range, you're going to be hard pressed to find a more expensive bow that will actually outshoot it. So then you're looking for...
Well, that's the next question, the proficiency of each one.
You're looking for a bow that draws nicely, doesn't stack, and a lot of that has to do with your draw length.
Okay, hold on. That's a new term I'm not familiar with. What do you mean doesn't stack?
Well, let's say Don has a 30-inch draw. And
31 and a half.
Okay. And he's shooting a recurve that AMO is 58 inches. I promise you, anything past 29 inches, that bow's going to get real hard to pull back. It's going to stack on you.
Okay.
So,
all right.
With that kind of draw length, Don would need to be shooting at least a 60-inch bow, maybe a 62.
62 would be better.
Be better.
Really? What do you pull?
Mine, I haven't done a recurve forever, but I only pull a 28.5-inch draw. That's
really?
Mine. Yeah. I got little short arms.
28 is standard.
I'm going to let that slide.
Big hands, small, short arms. Yeah.
And AMO is archery. AMO is Archery Manufacturers Organization.
Right.
28 inches is pretty standardized throughout all of traditional archery. When they list the bow weight, it's listed at 28 inches of draw.
Yeah.
If you're pulling less than that, you're pulling less. If you pull more than that, you're pulling more. It's pretty simple.
Well, let's say let's stick with a 31-inch draw, and what you're talking about. You're into proficiency. In a situation shooting instinctively, you're not going to draw back and hold like we do a lot of times with compound.
A compound.
You're going to pull up.
You don't have that luxury
release.
with a recurve.
So, am I going to have a tendency to pull 29 or 30 inches in release, or am I going to have a tendency to pull all the way back to 31 and a half?
Well, yeah, but you can compensate that with if you actually. So typically, if you shoot a 31.5-inch compound, you're going to lose an inch on a recurve shooting instinctively. So you're going to be around 30.5. So you're 2.5 inches above, AMO.
Norm. Yeah.
You're going to gain approximately 3 pounds per inch. So if you wanted to shoot 50 pounds, you would get a 45-pound bow, and you're probably going to be around 51, 52 pounds. So if you wanted to shoot more than that, you keep up on the weight, but you got to figure in that you're going to be somewhere 5-6 pounds heavier at your draw length.
That's the next part of the equation is the arrow technology. What are you recommending for that 45 to 55 pound bow recurve?
Well, again, depending on draw length, your draw length.
Well, say 30 inches. That's
If you were shooting around 50 pounds, you're borderline between a 400 and a 500 spline carbon arrow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Cedar arrows, thing of the past, totally.
Now there's some guys that still love wood arrows. Some that still shoot aluminum. But the bottom line is the testing I've done, penetration test into new foam with a broadhead on. Same broadhead, because you can't push a field point.
Are you recommending anything other than around 125 grain broadhead?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I would say the lightest broadhead I shoot is 175 grain.
Serious?
And I go up to 225.
Wow.
That's going to impact.
Yeah, that's like getting hit with a baseball.
Well, what you're doing, traditional bows are not going to punch it doesn't have the kinetic energy of a compound.
We can see it in the camera. God, that's a beautiful piece of work.
Yeah. That's a Damon Howard Hunter.
Nice.
That design has been around forever. Most people shoot split finger, and that bow, I guarantee you, was shaped for a split finger design. So it preloads the bottom limb just a little bit because you have 2 fingers underneath the arrow, 1 above. So
let me see that. Thank you. Thank you.
We're losing Don.
Ooh, nice piece of work. So what species of wood do you have here? Do you know offhand?
I do believe that's Bubinga, and I'm not sure what the
Bless
other
you.
one. And then the limbs are maple and black fiber.
I like that.
Now this is a takedown, so this one you can keep your riser, buy another set of limbs, more powerful, less powerful.
That's where the limbs lock in, right?
Yeah, you can.
Right there's the torque.
Yeah, you unstring this, undo this with an Allen wrench, and
I like the more muted look to it, and it's got a different grain touch.
yeah, and that bow it's around $200. Well, yeah, but they're a little faster, but here's the thing: you can quiet this recurve up a whole lot more. So a lot of times that deer or elk will not jump the string. This is a Trad Tech wood riser, but it's ILF. So this is from the International Limb Fitting. So I could pull these limbs and go to 20 different manufacturers. As long as they say ILF on them, I can buy those limbs and put it on here. I can
What
change
a novel
this.
thought.
I can change this out to a long bow, a longer recurve, a shorter recurve. The combinations are pretty much limitless.
That's a shorter bow, isn't it?
This is it's a 60-inch
Is it?
bow, and it's tunable. So
Really?
you can tune tiller, which is your distance between where the limb hits the riser and the string, top and bottom. You can tune this for your style of shooting. It's actually adjustable 2 to 3 pounds in weight, which is unusual for a recurve. Also has side-to-side movement. If your limbs aren't perfectly straight, you can make them straight.
So,
And those are getting very, very popular.
What's your max distance you think a traditional shooter should go to?
You know, in the old days, they said 40 yards was absolutely max. I've been shooting consistently for 3 years with a trad bow, and if the situation is right, I would probably shoot at 40 yards.
Okay.
And I'm hammering it. I mean, I'm shooting 6 days a week. Of course, I'm not a spring chicken anymore either, so